Hey, happy Thursday. Thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus on this once again sunny Thursday morning. And if you like the sunshine, you are probably in store for a pretty prolonged stretch of sunny and dry conditions. It's been a snoozy September so far, and it looks like this is going to continue into the month of October. I'll show you the reason why here in just a second. I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks again for joining us here on 9 News Plus. Let's start things off by taking a look outside. So first of all, lots of sunshine overhead, as I mentioned. We do actually have a few kind of lower level clouds. You might notice that there on your left, some of those kind of cumulus clouds. That's actually in association with a weak little system that is dropping through the region. You can see some of those clouds up there at Rocky Mountain National Park as well. Now that system's not going to do much, but we do have the chance for maybe in the mountains, 1 or 2 gusty showers. So that possibility for a gusty shower into the high country in particular today, just the slightest chance of something down here, but it would probably be over the next hour or two, or we'd see something down here along the front range. Overall, it's mostly tranquil with mild temperatures continuing. It's just this pattern we've been locked into. I mentioned this before, I mentioned this throughout the month. One thing that's maybe a bit of a misconception, especially when you think about the September 2013 flood, you might think about the September 2020 craziness when we went from 100 to snow in about 48 hours. This is actually a fairly common happenstance this time of year. September's normally, and I can tell you what, I'm actually taking a vacation starting tomorrow, and I say that because this is normally a time of year where it's pretty calm, tranquil weather. So when we're seeing something like this, yeah, this is actually fairly common for this time of year. That said, you have that weak system that's moving its way through the I-70 corridor. You can barely see it here on HD Doppler radar, and that might lead to 1 or 2 showers over the next few hours into the high country, and the slightest of chances up by the Cheyenne Ridge of seeing 1 or 2 of those out there along the urban corridor as well. But for the most part, it's a dry, mostly sunny day with a few clouds over the next couple of hours, and then it clears on out, and we'll start things off tomorrow on a quiet note as well. For tomorrow morning, we've got a lot in the way of sunshine, and we again have the slightest chance for a shower over the next few hours. And in the far northeast and southeast plains, the chance for a severe storm or 2. That's a conditional threat if we can bubble up enough moisture out there. But it looks like at this point, most of those showers and storms will be off to our east into Kansas and Nebraska. So temperature is the big story. 70s and 80s on the eastern plains right now. 50s and 60s for the most part into the high country. And those highs today, once again, running a couple degrees above our seasonal average. Our average high this time of year is in the upper 70s, so when we're talking about these highs in the low to mid 80s, this is close to about 5 degrees above the average for this time of year. Into the high country again, 60s and 70s, also running a couple degrees above most of those seasonal averages as well. So for tonight, temperatures drop back into the upper 40s, clear skies, and our first before 7 p.m. sunset since March. So it's been a while since we've had a sunset this early, but yeah, we got those before 7 p.m. sunsets now with everything that's gone on here of late. Now, lows tonight, 40s, 50s, eastern plains, 30s and 40s for the most part. The high country, a bit of a cool night ahead for the high country, and that is thanks to these clear skies at night that will allow what we term radiational cooling to take place. You think about taking all that heat that you build up during the day, right? Today it's going to get into the low to mid 80s, right? But once you get a clear night with light winds like tonight, that allows all that warmer air to kind of go back up into the atmosphere. And what takes its place is that colder, denser air. Remember, colder air is heavier than warmer air. So when you get the dissipation of warmer air, hot air rises, right, at night. You have no cloud cover, it's just going to kind of go up into the atmosphere. And you get those light winds that allows that colder, denser air to kind of settle down towards the surface. You can kind of visualize that. So that's why those lows, I think tonight will be a little cooler than what we've seen in recent nights, is with those temperatures dropping back into the upper 40s. Tomorrow, beautiful day. It's a bit more breezy for tomorrow though, and that is due to we got a weak front that drops on through tomorrow. Majority of that system is going to stay way to our north, but we do get that weak little front that'll drop its way through the front range. That'll really drop our temperatures more for the weekend, but in the meantime, it will lead to a slightly cooler high for tomorrow with some 80s, low 80s still in place for the front range, but a bit more of a breeze for tomorrow compared to today as well. So for tomorrow, again, rain and snow will stay well to our north. That's with that system up that way. In fact, I'm going to kind of branch things on out here so you can get a better look at this. I meant to actually show this to you earlier on, but you can kind of see, actually, let me go back to this here for a quick second. I'm sorry I'm doing this on the fly. I actually meant to show you this in a bit more detail a few moments ago, but hey, we're live here, and there you go, with that potential for some of those showers and thunderstorms, and we'll see some that I can't quite get that to take place here, but you get the idea. System well to our north, and that will mean that here along the Front Range and across eastern Colorado, we're just left over with just dry conditions and a bit more of a breeze for tomorrow compared to today. Rainfall amounts, this is through Saturday morning here, folks, just a lot of goose eggs, and any of the rain that you're seeing there would be really over the next 12 to 18 hours across the areas north of I-70. Most of you will stay dry. 7-day forecast. It's sunny and dry, it's sunny and dry, it's sunny and dry, it's sunny and dry, and then after that, it's sunny and dry once again. So it's a very calm forecast. Continuing this. Next Wednesday, by the way, I think we're looking at a high right around 80 degrees. So sorry that didn't pop up there, but right around 80 degrees for next Wednesday. Again, lots of sunshine and those breezy conditions for the next 2 days. That means getting closer and closer to peak fall foliage. Now, worth noting, we have gotten off, I've gotten a few questions about this, we have gotten off to a bit of a slow start in the high country in terms of the peak foliage. Right around now would be the kind of, usually this is normally one of those first kind of peak weekends for getting those fall colors. And while things are changing, no doubt about that, into the high country, we aren't there yet. There's no doubt about that, even along north of I-70, we are not at those peak colors yet. But two things I would say. One is we are changing, and I expect in the next 3-4 days we'll start to see some really vibrant colors. So maybe by the weekend we should start to see those pretty vibrant colors. So if you're heading up to the high country, again, first of all, go north, go to the parks, the elk heads, even the peak-to-peak highway on north, you should start to see some pretty good colors. And then number two is the delay is actually probably good news if you want to get a really good show. And I think we're looking, generally speaking, and consulting with my colleague meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen on this, I think we're going to be in store for a pretty good show into the high country. And next week and the week after, I think the fall colors are going to be popping. So if you're heading to the high country, it looks pretty awesome here over the next little while. It is going to be awesome here over the next little while with those fall colors that should be, again, getting really vibrant as we head over the next 3 to 4 days or so. We'll start to see those first kind of peak colors along the north of I-70, but next week, again, I think Mother Nature's going to put on a real show here. We've got those overall conditions for really, really nice fall colors starting, again, maybe late this weekend, but probably more next weekend if you're planning ahead. If you have the option to head to the high country, it looks like next weekend along the north of I-70 peak-to-peak highway, those usual spots, Guanella Pass, should start to get closer to those really true fall colors. Otherwise here, folks, that weather forecast, weather is right now on a snooze button, and I think we're going to stay that way into October. I will say this, I was just taking a look at the computer forecast model average for Denver. None of the computer forecast models, this is pretty stunning to see, is that for the next 2 weeks, none of them have a single drop of rain here in Denver for the next 2 weeks. So that's pretty unusual for us to be talking about that. But we'll get more into that as we get over the next few weeks. But again, this is normally a fairly dry time of year, and it's certainly acting that way. Our first freeze on average is in the first week of the month of October. Looks like we may be a little bit on the late side with that once again this year. Meteorologist Keely Chalmers with an update for you at 9 News at noon, and also at 2 p.m. here on 9 News Plus. Then meteorologist Danielle Grant's in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 tonight on the 9 News family of networks. Once again, I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. Have a great rest of your Thursday.